Hey, what's up, fam? This is not an official live stream or anything like that. I just got done having a conversation with some folks. Shout out to Brian Lambert for inviting me to that discussion. Shout out to all the folks on that stream. Um, I just want to make sure I had the opportunity to share a couple of points regarding this whole discussion about reviews that I think might have been missed in the conversation. Um, so I'm going to be sharing this video. So if you miss it, no problem. Today I'll be sharing this, quite often. I just want to make three quick points, and I'll get out of your way. Um, in regards to reviews, Black indie community, no, not yards. Uh, Give me one second. Okay. At first, I want to say shout out to Rado who made the original thought post about all of this. Um, I still believe he has some very valid points. I wish we could have a nuanced discussion about it, but it really got out of hand. But I want to make these 3 points, and I'm going to be discussing this more. You're going to be hearing this conversation again. I'm fairly certain. Um, so here's the deal. I want to make clear 3 things. Okay, if you're a part of the Black indie community, comic book community, and I know a lot of you are, and a lot of y'all know who I am. If you are using as a marketing strategy, all right, that your book, your series, your publishing company, your community, even of Black comic book fans and storytelling and narratives is an alternative and a replacement to what Marvel and DC or what the big publishers are doing, then you're leaving yourself open to the type of critique that comes with that. And it comes with critique like that came from Ron. It comes with the types of critiques that come from any from comes from that community specifically. So you should be prepared for that type of criticism. You should be prepared for that type of attention to detail. You need to be prepared for all of that. And so I don't want to make there's no misconceptions. If you are attempting to um, if you want uh, consumers to stop supporting these publishers and support you, then you should be aware of the standards that they're looking for, and they're very critical of the big two. These consumers are very critical of the big two, which means they're by um, by association they're going to be extremely critical of you. And if you're not prepared for that, you're going to find yourself in a lot of situations where you're going to be defending the things that you do and things like that. So, and mind you, I know a ton of Black creators that aren't trying to be the big two. They're not trying to compare themselves to the big two. So no one, and they're just as successful. And so no, we're not talking about that. But if you are by large, if you're saying which is a common marketing strategy, which is a common approach that I do see a lot of Black indies take. And if that's the case, and again, if that's the case, if you want these people to redirect their buying habits towards you and your company, then yes, you should be prepared for the criticism and the critiques that come with that. That's number one. Number two, um, there's been some discussion as to whether or not we should critique Black indies on the same level or with the same standards as we critique um, major publishers. And to that, I say yes, because the type of storytelling that I'm looking for, that I'm demanding as a consumer from the big two, yes, I'm demanding it from you as well. And that's fair because I'm as a consumer, I'm looking for good storytelling. It's like, yes, I am here to support Black indies, and I'm here to support the people that I consider to be my friends. But at the same time, I am looking for quality. I am looking for a good story. I want to be able to use this book as an example of good storytelling. And so, yes, it's like the demands I'm putting on Black creators, um, in that regard are the same standards I'm putting on the major publishers. I don't. I personally, as a review, as someone who writes critiques of Black indies, I'm not making a distinction in that regard. Um, and maybe I should do more critiques of major publications to bring that point home. But at the end of the day, the standard that I have and the benchmark that I have in place when it comes to comics and comic critiques, um, it's not has nothing to do with money. You don't need money to tell a good story. Okay, you need a firm grasp of the comic book medium. If we're talking about comic books, you do need a firm grasp of the comic book medium, and that goes for anybody. But understand this also. It's not a hard thing to wrap your head around or to get a handle on. It's doable, and again, it might take time, but it doesn't take a lot of money, and it doesn't really take a ton of time. Um, it may take you may need help. You may need other hands involved, but at the end of the day, this is not an issue of, in that regard, this is not an issue of scale. Um, this is definitely an issue of, it could be an issue of effort that you put in that type of time and effort and consideration into that book. And thirdly, I just want to shout out the folks that have approached me for reviews and stuff like that. Whether I know I do some reviews that are unsolicited, but the folks that actually asked me to write a review for their work, I want to let them know that I appreciate that, in the sense that I know for a fact that you were putting that in my hands, not because I was going to give you a good review. I know for a fact that you put those books in my hands because you had the faith in the work that you made, that it could handle real scrutiny, that you put the time into that book, that it would be able to withstand the type of review I was going to give it. And you knew that this book could stand up to any book coming out of whether Marvel, DC, or anybody else. It was there's been some talk about the fact that these folks gave me these books because they trusted me, and my pushback to that is like, no, they trusted their work. I know for a fact that those folks that gave me their book trusted their work, because if they didn't trust the work, they wouldn't have handed me the book, because I was going to give them a genuine review. And to be clear, I've thrown shots at these people that I consider to be friends. I've thrown shots at them in my reviews. Not every book that they have given me has, been a glowing review. But what I will say, the process has been that I've seen their series grow over time. Like, if you read my critiques, you'll notice that where I start, and where I end are two different places. Which shows that they have genuinely tried to make changes, possibly based off of the critiques I had. So that's all I wanted to put out there. And I'm going to be talking about this more. So be on the lookout for more conversations. I was joking. They totally missed the joke. I was saying, like, I belong to a cabal of comic book reviewers right now. Um, so shout out to the secret society of comic book reviews. Shout out to Ron Abasi and all you cats, and Alan. Yeah, it's gonna you're gonna see some more from us. Um, but yeah, it's this is a very interesting conversation. Oh, and special shout out to the Black Comic Lords. I didn't know that that conversation was going to go there, and to that point, I want to say this again, and I've actually shared this conversation in on my platform for a while now. As far as when it comes to the Black indies, it's like, look, you may not like their buying habits or their opinions on things or who their favorite superhero is or whatever, what have you. But at the end of the day, that community of consumers is powerful. Um, you may not want to be plugged into that. You could care less whether or not they buy or not, or support, or share your book. That's on you. But I know for a fact that what they represent is when I talk about scale, that is what I'm talking about. But I'm talking about your company scaling up. I'm talking about reaching that audience and audiences like them, which is predominantly Black. So we're not even talking about crossing over into the mainstream in the sense that, okay, now we got to whitewash your book. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is the fact that the demands of the folks in that room matter. Um, so you can, poo poo it if you want to. But I'm fairly certain that the creators that have made inroads with that group um, have been able to um, scale and level up in a way that um, that might not have been there before. Um, I'm fairly certain that the folks that are now, for instance, in the direct market, the Black indie groups, the Black indie publishers right now that have jumped into the direct market, I could, I believe it is possible to measure the impact that group has had on your success. If you have any type of success in the direct market, I believe a percentage of that, a portion of that is due to that audience, is due to that group. So, and they're only getting bigger. So, um, yeah, and there's tons of groups like that. There's a ton of groups like that on Instagram. Black women are killing it right now in terms of building communities around Black comics and Black comic creators, and they have demands, and not everybody is meeting them. So it's like, again, you can dismiss these audiences and these groups and these folks if you want to, and do your thing. I mean, cool, but I promise you, it's in your best interest to listen and you know possibly rethink some things. You know, um, there's nothing wrong with that either. You know what I'm saying? It's like that's where a lot of sometimes that's where this critique is coming from. Is that you you may find that you're missing an opinion. It's very possible that you're dismissing or missing an opinion that actually matters. And so, in that sense, yeah, I mentioned like Herschel, I mentioned Richard Wright from Black Comic Lords, even Ron. Even it's like these opinions, like you think they're not important, but at the end of the day, one you want to know. So it actually works, and it may be to your benefit to take a portion of these, seriously, you know, and I know it's important, and I know y'all care because we wouldn't be having such a heated debate about it if y'all just didn't care. So let's be clear that y'all, because when y'all actually hit it out the park, these same people have gone reviews. I know I do. You know what I'm saying? Just as much as I throw shots at Mike Watson about, whether it's Carla or you know, or how often he publishes Hot Shot. At the same time, Hot Shot number 12 is, at the top of my list right now. It's a really good black indie book. So yeah, um, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all, and I just want to clarify some things and get some stuff on the record. And y'all be hearing more about this. Thanks.